Brock Lesnar just called himself the past, raised Oba Femi's arm in front of 30,000 people, and walked out of that cell for what could be the very last time. And Paul Heyman watched it happen from ringside, said absolutely nothing, and left with Lesnar. But here's the thing about Paul Heyman. He has never once in his career stayed loyal to the past when the future was standing right there in plain sight, and the future is 6'4", 285 pounds, and just survived 3 F5s, a tombstone piledriver on exposed wood, and still kicked out. What's good? Tidal wave, and welcome to the breakdown of the single most important relationship in WWE that nobody has officially announced yet. Because what happened after that Hell in a Cell match in Minneapolis wasn't just a passing of the torch. It was Paul Heyman sitting ringside watching his own meal ticket publicly hand over everything he represented. And the wise man doesn't sit through a moment like that without already having his next move calculated. So here's the question worth sitting with right now. When the greatest manager in the history of this business watches his client call himself the past on a live microphone, how long does it actually take him to dial up the future? Let's lay out exactly what's confirmed, because the timeline here is already extraordinary without adding a single invented detail. Lesnar initially left ringside with Paul Heyman following the main event at U.S. Bank Stadium, then returned to the ring, embraced Femi, and raised his opponent's arm. After taking a microphone, Lesnar addressed the crowd. Here's the future of WWE. Congratulations. This is the past. This is the future. Pointing to himself as the past and gesturing toward Femi as the future. That's not a throwaway promo. That's a man completing a career chapter in real time, on the biggest stage of the summer, with his advocate standing a few feet away watching the whole thing unfold. Paul Heyman and Oba Femi have been appearing together on television for months now, most recently on the SummerSlam kickoff show, where Heyman called Femi overrated. And WWE rarely leaves anything to chance, especially when it comes to Paul Heyman storylines. So the question isn't whether WWE has been building this. The question is how long before they make it official. And here's the detail most people are skipping past entirely in the emotion of that post-match moment. The lack of investment from Paul Heyman as an advocate for Brock Lesnar has been evident lately, especially after he left the division high and dry when Maxine Dupree replaced him. Heyman has been distracted, unfocused, operating like a man who already knows the contract is expiring and is quietly interviewing for his next position. Every time Heyman and Femi shared a screen this summer, there was a tension that went beyond the Lesnar versus Femi narrative. A recognition between two people who understand each other's value, even when they're officially on opposite sides. Now, if you're locked in and starting to see the full picture, smash that like button and get plugged into the Tidal Wave family right now, because what a Heyman and Femi alliance actually means for the entire WWE landscape going into the fall is where this story becomes genuinely historic. Here's what the internet wrestling community is completely getting wrong about this moment. The popular take right now is that Lesnar's retirement is the story, that this was a beautiful send-off for the Beast and now we move on. That completely misses the point. Lesnar retiring is the setup, not the payoff. The payoff is what happens to the most valuable managerial mind in WWE history the morning after his most famous client calls himself the past on live television. A creative angle that would make perfect sense in the closing moments of this chapter would be for Paul Heyman to align with Femi, who would benefit greatly from his wisdom as the next generational star in WWE. Think about what Heyman brings to Oba Femi specifically. Femi is a generational physical talent, dominant, imposing, already a king of the ring winner, but he's still developing the promo craft, the chess move thinking, the ability to manipulate an entire arena's emotion with a single sentence. That's exactly what Heyman has been doing for 30 years. Lesnar was already made when Heyman found him. Femi is still being built, which means Heyman doesn't just enhance him, he architects him from the ground up, and that is the most dangerous version of Paul Heyman that WWE has ever unleashed. Let's talk about Heyman's psychology specifically, because this is the whole engine of what comes next. This is a man whose entire legacy is built on being on the right side of history at exactly the right moment. Lesnar before the Attitude Era ended, Punk during the Pipe Bomb Era, Reigns during the Tribal Chief run. Every single time, Heyman identified the generational shift before anyone else saw it coming, attached himself to the future, and made both of them bigger in the process. WWE commentators called Oba Femi the next big thing, as he celebrated his SummerSlam victory. And if you know your WWE history, you know exactly who first carried that nickname, and you know exactly who was standing next to him when he did. Paul Heyman just watched Brock Lesnar hand the torch to Oba Femi in front of the entire wrestling world. And the Wiseman is now the most available and most dangerous free agent in WWE. So here's what the comment section needs to settle right now. Does Paul Heyman choosing Oba Femi make the ruler the most unstoppable force in WWE heading into the fall? Or is this actually the moment Heyman becomes the real villain of the story by weaponizing the future against everyone who came before? Drop your answer below, because next video we're breaking down exactly what this means for the entire Raw Championship landscape. This has been Tidal Wave. Ride the wave.